The Republican Party not only sold out the blacks, they've been selling out blacks ever since.
The Republican Party.
The Republican Party.
Are both parties essentially the same, or does it matter? Because some people think, that no matter who you vote for, no matter who you put in office, whether they're part of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, they still don't have the best interests or representation or concerns about minorities, and in particular, black people or African Americans. So, are both parties the same, or does it matter?
Yes, it does matter, and both parties are not the same. The main thing that separates the two parties, their philosophy. The philosophy of the Republican Party is all business, primarily business, and they're for the wealthy. Okay, and they believe, and the women also believe in states' rights. States' rights are going back to the South and going back to chattel slavery. This is the Republican Party. This is the whole philosophy within it. The Democratic Party philosophy is that of unity and trying to get everybody together. That's their philosophy. So the difference between the two parties primarily is philosophy. Now, I'm not going to say that the Democratic Party is totally pure, okay? Because you have some renegades in the Democratic Party too. But for the most part, who would be beneficial for the minorities, particularly African Americans, would be the Democratic Party.
So how do you answer this question in regards to the Republican Party freeing the slaves, being responsible for freeing the slaves? How would you answer that question with regards to the different ideologies?
Very good, son. During Lincoln, honest A, but during the Republican Party, blacks were Republicans. Lock, stock, and barrel. Loved the Republican Party. Worshipped the Republican Party. Gave up their sweat and tears for the Republican Party. Gave up their blood and their lives for the Republican Party. Blacks at that time. Loved the Republican Party. Dedicated to the Republican Party. Died for the Republican Party. Up until the Hayes-Tilden Compromise, when the Republican Party sold them out. It goes out to Hayes-Tilden Compromise. See, the blacks in the South were protected by the Union troops. So this compromise was, I think it was Hayes or Hillary, one of those two was running for the presidency. And in order to gain favor of the president, he had to compromise. Either Hayes had to compromise, had to be a compromise between the two, Hayes and Tilden. So in that compromise, the compromise, either Hayes or Tilden, one of those two had to compromise. And when they compromised, they sold out the blacks. Okay? Lock, stock, and barrel. So they had no protection from the federal troops for the Union Army, had no protection whatsoever, and then until they started being slaughtered on a wanton scale because they were sold out.
So then my follow-up question to that, in line with the question is, then does the parties matter? Because at one point, blacks were dedicated to the Republican Party, right, who had this ideology under honest Abe Lincoln that freed them, right? And then the Republican Tillman agreement, right, sold them out. But at the time, if you know this, where did the Democratic Party stand? Were they still against minorities? Were they still against blacks? Did blacks then automatically, in full force, at large, switch over to the Democratic Party? Do you know, based on your experience, if you do know, how that transition took place to where today it's sort of the opposite, where now blacks are more dedicated to the Democratic Party? How did that transition take place, if you know?
It didn't happen overnight.
Okay.
The transition from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. Because at that time, too, the Democratic Party don't allow much in favor of the blacks either. Okay. So it took a matter of time, a period of time, for the blacks to transition over to the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party was more favorable to the blacks because they was against the Democratic Party was against the Republican Party. So in order to lure the blacks into the Democratic Party, they had to pass laws and legislation in favor of the blacks.
What was their incentive to do that? If you know.
Well, it was a quest for power. Okay. The Democrats, the Democratic Party wanted power, but they needed the votes. And the Democratic Party made it possible for the blacks to vote. So since they got the right to vote, this is when they start coming over to the Democratic Party. Yeah. Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act back in 1969. And while he signed that legislation, he was saying then that he knew he was going to lose the South by giving the blacks the right to vote. Okay. But he signed it anyway. And Lyndon Baines Johnson was a Democrat. Okay. The somewhat controversy there, as Malcolm pointed out at the time, it was somewhat controversial because Lyndon Baines Johnson's best buddy was Dickie Russell, a Klansman out of the South. But Lyndon Baines Johnson told Dickie Russell that why he wanted the blacks, because he wanted to vote. So Richard Russell went along with Lyndon Baines Johnson at that time, so Johnson could get the black vote. And by getting the black vote, that's why most of the blacks, like your great-grandparents, my grandparents, started coming over to the Democratic Party. Okay? The Republican Party not only sold out the blacks, they've been selling out blacks ever since.
The Republican Party.
The Republican Party.
Okay.
You can take that back to Colin Powell. No, take it back to Colin Powell, Jackie Robinson. Take that back to Jackie Robinson, the legendary baseball player.
Yes.
He was a Republican under Nixon, with Nixon, and the programs that he wanted for us, his people, then the Republican Party stopped that. So, and I met Jackie one time too when I used to work down at 26 Federal Plaza.
Yes.
He used to come down there, and I met him in the lobby down there quite some years ago. But anyway, long story short, any kind of a program that he wanted for his people at that time, Jackie Robinson, they shut it down. Okay, so Jackie Robinson finally got fed up with the Republican Party, so he left the Republican Party. Colin Powell, this is the big one right here. Colin Powell, General Colin Powell.
Right.
And he worked his way up from a non-commissioned officer up into the officer's ranks until he came to General Colin Powell. In that Republican Party under the Bush, he had this Dick Cheney,
right,
who was the vice president at the time. Dick Cheney didn't give Colin Powell no kind of respect at all. Okay. And in fact, any kind of program that Colin Powell wanted to put through or get across, Dick Cheney would stop that. And Dick Cheney just outright, blatantly disrespected Colin Powell, even in public. I didn't read Colin Powell's book, but understanding what he went through at the time, being a Republican, I'm saying, you know, my dissatisfaction with Colin Powell. How are you going to be a Republican after all this shit? After all what they put you through? Mm-hmm. You still going to be a Republican? But he was a loyal Republican. Till he finally met what the rubber band broke with him, then he broke with the Republican Party. Okay, it's Colin Powell. General Colin Powell. Okay? Brooke, up there in Massachusetts, Senator Brooke, black. He was also a Republican. Okay? He was running for governor up there in Massachusetts. And being a Republican, they didn't want to see no black governor up there in Massachusetts. So they got rid of Brooks. So he got fed up with the Republican, so he left.
I say, Monica, no be today. Me and you done they fight, don't they? I no go pursue man, I go change my ways. I go reduce the banana, I no go do it again.